Daniel Negreanu is looking down on pocket kings. Negreanu opens to 1,600 with pocket kings, exactly the kind of value raise that wants callers but still punishes dominated Broadway and suited connector opens. Fill lock flats with 6-4 suited, a speculative defend that plays best deep and multi-way. Wiggins comes along with Jack-9 offsuit. His call widens the pot with position and a hand that makes strong pairs and disguised 2-pair. Wiggins immediately stabs 2,200 into 5,800. From his seat, this is a natural protection bet. He wants to charge draws and prevent free cards to the overpairs that can counterfeit him later. Negreanu calls with kings. Raising folds out worse and funnels him into a range versus range fight on a coordinated board where he has only one blocker to the flush draw. The turn brings the 10 of clubs, tightening everything. It completes some straights and increases the number of combo draws that would continue. Wiggins slows down with a check. That makes sense. 2-pair on this texture can be fragile when the turn connects so neatly with the flop. He also gives Negreanu rope to bluff what looks like ace-king or miss diamonds. Negreanu bets 10,000. This is a disciplined value protection sizing. Kings are still ahead of the 1-pair portion of Wiggins's flop stab, and they deny equity to the diamond and gutter region. But the sizing is small enough to avoid isolating himself only versus straights and 2-pair.
Oh, dang, come on,
I'm thinking about maybe just doubling you up real good.
Ernest let out on the flop, then called the turn. Say what you will about the guy, but he hasn't been chasing a lot of draws, so Daniel has to know Ernest has a real hand.
I check.
2-pair.
Yeah.
Jack-9.
I knew it.
Favorite hand. Jack-9.
Poopy, poopy, poopy. I think it would have worked.
I mean, a real hefty bet, honestly. You know, I'm thinking like, I'm thinking maybe got an 8.
I had 2 kings, man.
She's in with 6s.
Jennifer Tilly kicks things off with pocket 6s. This is a decent hand to entertain a small raise with and see if luck is on your side.
Back on Arden. She calls the 3-bet as well, so 3-way to the flop. Oh my word, set over set and Griffin's flop top pair?
This is going to be bad for Griffin, but it's going to be real bad for Arden.
With the board that the flop delivers, everyone has something to bet about. But instead of that, Tilly and Cho decide to check. With that in mind, our weak top pair is trying to take control of the board by shooting a small bet of $2,500. Tilly is loving it because other than a set of kings, nothing else on the board beats her, and she would love to see this pot growing, so naturally she calls. Miss Cho, on the other hand, has a completely different plan. She is not waiting for the pot to grow. She is growing it herself. She does that by firing a $9,400 bet. Now Benger has a choice. Entertain this top pair, or realize the truth and just give up.
Why is he so serious? He's like a goober 99% of the time.
The angry man quickly decides to fold and not pursue the king. On the other hand, Tilly is more than happy to oblige Miss Cho by re-raising to $30,000 with her set of 6s.
Oh boy.
Jen re-raises $30,000.
At this point, Miss Cho should know the deep trouble she finds herself in, but still decides to go ahead and call on her set of 5s. The turn delivers the 9 of clubs, a card that is completely irrelevant to both of them. If I was in the position of Tilly, I would be betting pot here. What would you? Let me know in the comments below. I guess Tilly is not so happy about my jamming suggestion, so she decides to check here and wait for something magical on river. Same thing for Miss Cho. In her case, though, that is in her favor.
And Arden spikes a 1-outer. She's got quads. Meanwhile, Jen has rivered a full house.
Buckle up, because this hand just went from pretty sick to absolutely bonkers.
People say patience is a virtue, but in Tilly's case, her patience came to bite her from behind. The river delivers the only card that can save Miss Cho, and that is the 5 of clubs. Now the only question is, will Tilly get baited by her now full house hand? Or will she read her for the quads Miss Cho has? And as we all thought she should do, Miss Cho goes.
There it is.
This is not good.
No, it sure isn't.
If Jen calls, this will be the biggest pot of the game.
Arnon, you have quads because it can't be quads.
Does she know?
I don't think you have kings full. And I don't think you have nines full. You might have fives full.
That's a call.
Preflop begins with a standard opening that quickly devolves into a loose, multi-way affair, setting the stage for a statistical anomaly. Negreanu, always looking to play pots in position, opens to 1,600 with a hand that plays beautifully post-flop.
I like whatever. My turn. I am officially in.
However, Phil Lack, living up to his reputation as a chaotic element at the table, decides to flat call with 6-2 suited. This is absolute trash hand that relies entirely on surprise value. His loose call offers pot odds to the rest of the table, enticing Kenny to call with 8-5 and Lou to defend with ace-3 suited.
Nice. Action.
Four-way action of the flop.
We go to the flop four-handed, with ranges as wide as the ocean. The flop is one of the rarest sights of all. It is a case-ace scenario. Because there are 3 aces on the board and 1 in Lou's hand, the deck is completely crippled. Lou has flopped quad aces, the unbeatable nuts. However, this is a disastrous board for extracting value. Everyone else is staring at air. The action checks around, which is mandatory for Lou. Betting here would simply force everyone to fold their king highs and pocket pairs immediately. He has to wait and pray that someone catches a miracle card to make a second best hand. Now, Phil Lack decides it is time to try and win the pot. He bets 4,000. He is effectively value betting his full house, assuming that perhaps someone with king or queen high will look him up.
Ooh, that's a little more than 4.
This is the moment Lou has been patiently waiting for. He wakes up and raises to 9,500. It is a small, teasing raise, designed to look like a bluff or a chop pot protection bet.
Feels like they were waiting for me to bet, huh?
Oh, that's good. It was the first time I called a bet he made, and he had quads.
You're just not believable anymore, okay? Stop.
Helmuth kicks things off with pocket kings. He was getting a bad beat after bad beat on this table. So now his fortunes seem to be turning around.
Helmuth with kings now? Well, he's lipped it a bunch. Let's see if he keeps it balanced.
Hey, come on, just min-raise
he's
it.
gonna raise
Oh
it.
my God,
Raise it up to
why?
8.
After 3 folds, we reach Chamath with his king 4 suited. It must be his lucky hand or something, because he will call Helmuth's bet. Unfortunately for him, though, Stanley, who is looking down on these juicy queens, is going to.
Raise.
Raise it. 5,200.
There's the 3-bet. Just a call from Phil. No 4-bet. Getting the other people out. That's going to bring Keating in, I'm sure it does.
Helmuth is probably silently screaming from happiness on the inside. This 3-bet is perfect for him, and he snap calls it. The real question is, why would Keating and Chamath pay this steep price with such marginal hands? But that, I will leave to you, the viewer. The flop comes 8-7-8 rainbow. It might not be perfect because sometimes pair of 7s or 8s gets through this 3-bet to see the flop. But Helmuth should be reasonably happy with how it turned out for now. Stanley bets $5,000 again, and this time out, only Helmuth will make the call, with Keating and Chamath finally taking the smart and right option of folding those weak hands.
And the queen on the turn! Oh, we're going to see some steam.
Gentlemen, I can officially attest to the fact that Helmuth is probably the unluckiest player I have ever seen. This queen is about to wipe the calmness off of Helmuth's face. The only question left is, will Choi play it so he extracts maximum value plus a bonus of Helmuth's rage at the end?
Bet 21.
All right, 21,000.
Wow. I have a bad feeling you have me, but I have an overpair.
Yep.
Come on, this motherfucking goddamn fucking queen.
What's that? What's that?
Selbst, sitting in the big blind, looks down at a pair of jacks, a strong but tricky hand in this scenario. Facing a raise and a 3-bet, she opts to flat call rather than 4-bet. While a 4-bet would help narrow the field and define her opponent's ranges, it could also bloat the pot and force her into tough post-flop spots if she's up against a hand like queens, kings, or aces. Her flat call allows her to control the pot size while disguising her hand strength, keeping her range wide enough to include potential traps. The flop lands Queen 2 Jack, and Selbst couldn't have asked for better. Her pair of jacks connects perfectly, giving her middle set and a commanding lead in the hand. Chen, holding ace-queen suited, flops top pair with backdoor flush and straight draws, making his hand strong but significantly vulnerable to Selbst's concealed strength. Selbst leads out with 80,000 bet, a sizing that achieves multiple goals. It builds the pot while extracting value from weaker hands like top pair or speculative holdings with equity. Importantly, her bet disguises her hand's full strength. Opponents may interpret it as a standard value bet or even a semi-bluff. Chen, with top pair and additional equity from his backdoor draws, decides to call. From his perspective, Selbst's range from the big blind could include hands like king-queen, queen-jack, or even bluffs, making a fold too conservative. The turn changes the dynamics of the hand with the 8 of diamonds, creating a more draw-heavy board. Selbst still holds the lead with her set of jacks, but the new card introduces a flush draw and enhances the straight possibilities. She increases the pressure with a bet of 150,000. This bet is designed to charge draws like the nut flush and extract further value from hands like Chen's top pair. While the sizing is solid, Selbst may have missed an opportunity to go larger, putting Chen to an even tougher decision. Chen's ace-queen suited improves with the nut flush draw, making his hand significantly stronger in terms of potential equity. He calls the 150,000, which is the correct decision based on the pot odds and his outs to the nut flush. By calling, Chen keeps the pot manageable while preserving his chance to improve on the river. The river delivers the 7, completing Chen's nut flush with ace-queen suited and spelling disaster for Selbst. Unaware of Chen's exact holding but recognizing her set is still vulnerable, Selbst decides to shove all in. However, this move is a misstep. The shove assumes Chen might fold marginal holdings, but his turn call strongly represents a flush, especially the nut flush. A smaller bet, or even a cautious check, could have limited Selbst's losses given the dangerous board texture. Chen barely needs to think. With the nuts, his call is automatic. There's no possible hand on this board that can beat him. He confidently flips over his cards, claiming the massive pot, and leaving Selbst regretting her river shove. Andy is looking down on ace-4 suited in a three-way pot. Mariano raised to $500 with king-10 suited, and Charles 3-bet to $2,000.
Could we see a cold 4-bet? No, he's going to call, though. Mariano is going to 4-bet, though. Charles calls. Andy may be considering something.
Good call.
He just calls.
The pot is $27,000 pre-flop. They all have an equal chance for now. Let's see what the flop brings.
Oh, no! You gotta be kidding me!
Andy checks because he thinks he has the best hand. Mariano checks because he knows he has the best hand. And Charles checks because he knows he's drawing dead. The turn comes 3 of hearts, and it changes nothing for everyone.
Mariano, in a 4-bet pot, has flopped a straight flush, and Andy with the ace-high flush.
Mariano cannot check anymore with the straight flush and value bets $8,000. Charles understandably folds.
Mariano started this hand with about $300,000.
Andy raises to pot amount $35,000.
Imagine having a straight flush and getting raised.
The only way to get away from an ace-high flush is if the board pairs. In poker, the correct move doesn't always get you the win. Let's see how much Mariano is gonna bet here, and if Andy makes one of the greatest folds in poker history.
Mariano on the right side of your screen, right there, has flopped a straight flush in a 4-bet pot. $97,000 in the pot.
There's no way anyone is folding ace-high flush here.
Board does not pair, and Andy just bets $120,000. Mariano moves all in. Andy calls and shows him the ace. $611,000 pot, and Mariano can't believe it.
Goofy limps the big blind with king-10 suited. Limping protects his range, invites isolates from hands he dominates, and keeps the pot manageable out of position with a hand that plays cleanly post-flop. Nick airball isolates to $1,200 from under the gun with queen-9 offsuit. The raise pressures the limp, seizes initiative, and expects to realize equity against a single caller. Goofy calls. Suited Broadway is too strong to fold, too thin to 3-bet out of position, and calling keeps Nick's range wide. Goofy checks. On an ace-high, 2-diamond texture, Nick is supposed to continuation bet often, so checking lets that happen. Nick obliges for $700, a small, range-driven stab that folds air and taxes random backdoors while leaning on his perceived ace advantage. Goofy check raises to $1,700. King 10 of diamonds is a premium semi-bluff, gut shot to Broadway, the king high diamond draw, and even a royal flush. Raising clears out weak queens and 5s to 9s, charges worse draws, and starts a pot that can realize maximum value when diamonds or Broadway materialize. Nick calls with middle pair and position, keeping bluffs in and retaining control of the pot size. Bang! The third diamond lands and Goofy upgrades from a draw to the nuts. With his story perfectly coherent after the flop raise, he leads $2,000. Leading now Prince, worse diamonds pay, stubborn Queen X pays, and some Ace X talk themselves into continuing because the Jack is a counterfeit scare rather than a clean killer in their minds. Goofy goes for a small, irresistible value bet of $3,500. After check raise, lead, and a blank river, this size targets exactly what Nick shows up with most often.
Makes the call.
Royale.
Royale with cheese.
Royal.